Michael Goldman. Appreciate folks coming out tonight. Our first order of business is to go over the minutes of our last meeting from November 8th. Did everyone have a chance to take a peek at the minutes? Would someone like to move their approval?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Terrific. Okay, that's taken care of. Our first order of business tonight is for a proposed change of use for Core Burn Pilates. Is there someone here to speak on behalf of the applicant? While Peter gets you set up, yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Paul Dumont. I'm a project manager at JMC. With me tonight is Christine Gredo of Core Pilates. We're before you tonight respectfully requesting a change of use approval and a special use permit for the reoccupation of a space at 110 Craft Avenue. The space is about 800 square feet. It was previously a pet store. We're proposing to reoccupy it with a Pilates studio, which is classified as an indoor recreation facility and is specially permitted in the zone. So with that, I'll just turn it over to Christine just to say a few words about Core Pilates and their company.
Hi, I'm Christine. Thank you for having me. I'm here for our hopeful change of space use for the Pilates studio. We have 5 locations right now. We're in Greenwich, we're at Wayton, we have 2 in the city, and 1 in, where am I missing?
Rye?
In Rye, where I am every day. And now we'll be in Bronxville. So we're really excited. I've been with the company for a few years and it's got a really good following, so I think we'll be happy here. So I'm looking forward to it.
Now, there are other, there are a number of other sort of gyms in the neighborhood, so what are your thoughts on all of that?
So Pilates is kind of different. It's very unique to the specific person. It's not really big exercise classes. It's a very small environment, and we do a lot of, it's like strength, endurance, stretching, that kind of stuff. So it actually goes along really well with all of your other stuff. So we recommend it alongside your SoulCycle, your weightlifting, whatever other stuff you're doing. It's just good for your body in general, for longevity. So whatever else you do, it's good to do with it.
Oh. And it looked like you're doing this with the equipment, walking by. It's that kind of Pilates as opposed to the one without the equipment.
Yep, so the reformer is like a really safe way to exercise. So if you have injuries, it's a really good tool. Better than the mat stuff, personally, I think, just because it's like a really structured way to do it. The reformer is really beneficial, just like I said, for everything else that you're going to be doing.
And so hours of operation?
So we'll be open, if you want to go over,
Yeah, so I could summarize the operations. So the studio will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There'll be two employees on site. There's going to be group classes. I think they have a maximum 6.
5.
Okay, 5. So 5 people per class. They'll be run on the hour from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. With maybe one afternoon class in between. And there will also be private sessions from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So but I think that's more limited, right? That's not many.
Yeah, that'll be
So few private sessions as needed.
So questions from the board for the applicant?
So the issue is really the parking. Is that correct?
There are 2. The reason I think, Paul, you could correct me, that they're before us is when you go to change from the existing use to this new use. That's why they come before us, but there was also a parking study done. Maybe you could comment on that.
Sure. So yeah, so the change of use does increase the number of off-street parking spaces that are required. I think the pet store required 3 spaces, and the indoor recreation requires 6 spaces per code. So, when there are change of uses less than 3,500 square feet, your board has the ability to waive the parking requirement. There is 1 parking space on site that is available to Core as part of their lease. So obviously, we're not able to provide the 6. So our firm did conduct a study. It shows that there's more than enough parking supply in the area, during these class hours to support the relatively low demand from the studio. And Hardesty in Hanover, your board's consultant, did concur with that finding. I do just want to note too, although they do have one space available to them, and it's likely that the second employee will take mass transit, we did not factor that into our study. So it's a conservative analysis that we did.
And I think more broadly, these uses come to us as things change to service businesses, but I think we all recognize that the transition of retail from products and services that can be purchased on the web to those that can't is sort of an inevitable thing that we've seen throughout the business district. So this is not a new concept for us in terms of uses have been changing toward these kinds of alternatives that really, don't face that level of competition. So,
Sure.
yeah. Questions?
No, go ahead.
I only had one question, and I think it's just a function of the program that you have to use for the response here. You answered yes to the fact that the property's been subject to remediation, the property or an adjacent property. I assume that this property hasn't been in the...
No, when we're using the EAF mapper, there's
Yeah.
a buffer that's applied to it. So when I was looking at the database, I think it was a property that was like within 1,000 feet, but it was not this property.
Gotcha. Yeah, and within 1,000 feet, you could pick up Metro North.
That's most of Bronxville, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's something like that. I think it's 1,000 or even 2,000 feet for some of the EAF mapper. So.
Oh, of course.
I get it.
Very good. Who says we don't have an institutional memory?
Impressive.
Okay. Yeah, and the archaeological site also popped up. but
Yeah, same.
It always does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions over here, Mike? Yeah. Okay, well, I think what we'll do now is open up the public meeting. Not seeing anyone from the public, so I think we can close the public meeting. Paul, anything you'd want to add in terms of this application? No. Yeah. I think picking up on the parking question, the study indicated that at the hours they're planning to operate, there's plenty of, parking available in the district. And I think also, being over on Craft, this is a less intensive block than, say, Park Place, when you think about, density and the parking issues they have around the corner there. So this feels like a good location on several levels for, what you're intending to do. So would someone like to, well, first of all, any further discussion at the board now that we're done with the public meeting? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
I move we approve the application as presented.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Hope all goes well.
Go Palat away.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, next on the agenda are our friends from 20 Parkway Road. And we're aware that you've completed going through the zoning board. And so hopefully we're in the home stretch here, but we appreciate you coming back out tonight. Do you need to stand or?
Are you going to miss coming here on Wednesday evenings?
It was tough.
There'll be a little nostalgia.
When we came in, we
He'll-
was on a first name basis with him.
He'll get over it. Yeah.
Good evening. My name's Steve Seacon, working with the owners at 20 Parkway. And As you're alluded to, we were before a zoning board and received granted approval. And we're here before you tonight to answer any other questions, address any issues that need clarification, and also talk briefly about schedules and whatever kind of deliverables that you think are appropriate. So, here we are on the cusp of 2024. Okay.
But we can see the
Okay.
schedule on the left, we understand.
So we've been the last several months between the boards making updates and revisions. And so we are right here tonight. And basically, the house still has tenants. So they're expected to leave toward the end of August.
Oh.
So everything goes well, we should be preparing construction documents in the next couple of months, bidding the drawings, getting a reliable contractor at an affordable price, and hopefully engage them for a September commencement. Similar jobs have run between 10 months at the best, 14 months if it lags. So we just anticipate a 12-month construction period. Like most similar projects, starting with site prep and demolition, followed by foundation work, superstructure, roughing, then enclosing and insulation and finishes, and then final grading and landscaping, happening in the summer of '25.
One quick thing, when we sent this off with a recommendation to zoning, I think we had made 2 changes, I'm recalling, to the plan that you had in front of us to restore the 5 feet, movement back to the front of the existing foundation, et cetera. So this plan reflects what we approved at the last meeting, correct?
Yes, closer to the street
Yeah.
situation, yes.
Yeah. And I think the reason that he's, laying out the schedule is we had a recommendation from the zoning board when they approved it, which is within our, purview, which is, in general, there's a concern, and we've talked about this on other projects, that if you simply approve an open-ended, program, then a lot of time can go by and nothing happens on the project, and maybe it's theoretically years hence, and they're still using an approval that you meant based on a certain set of conditions at a certain period of time. And so what zoning was encouraging us to do, and I think it's something we'll need to think about more broadly as we're approving projects here, is trying to put in some time, conditions or statements so that you're not approving something now. I'm not sure what's permitted, Paul, under the village code, but you're not having an approval now, and 3 years later, the shovel first hits, and maybe 3 years later, we'd have a different perspective. So I think what we're going to want to do if we approve this is put some dates that are reasonable in there, and then if we go beyond those dates, you'd have to come back to the planning board, and hopefully the conditions would still be such that we'd feel okay about it, but that way it's not just sort of a blank check that stays open forever. So it's helpful to understand what your time frame is as we consider that.
Understood. I think it's in everybody's interest.
So questions for the architect about the project before we dive into the timeline, et cetera? No.
No.
So if we talk about the timeline for a second, it sounds like the tenant isn't leaving until August. So what would be a reasonable date that you could live with, that we would want to see demolition start by? What, do you have a view as to what you could live with on that front?
Maybe a 3 or 4 month window?
So for instance, the end of 2024, that we'd want to see demos start by the end of calendar 2024, otherwise you'd come back. Would that be reasonable? We want to give you something you can work with.
Yeah, I think, just knowing how eager most people are, to kind of calendarize the school year. So I think if they leave end of August, we have a one-year build, get, families in there for that school year. I think that is feasible. So I don't think that they would want to start much later.
Well, things start to freeze up, but, so at least what I wanted to throw out, there's a December 2024 date for demo and a December 2025 date for completion. But again, you tell us what you think is realistic, because it's not easy to construct right now.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we were past all the supply chain hiccups and labor shortages, but I think Paul, and, anyone in the construction world realizes it's still not business as normal. So I would ask for like a 3-month cushion.
How about December 2024 for demo, June 2026 for completion?
June, yeah.
Which gives you 18 months from the latest date on which you can start demolition. Paul, do you have a reaction to those dates?
That sounds fair. I don't know if you want to add like substantial work like that, but I mean, I think that.
So substantial completion rather than, they may still not have the C of O, but they've done their work.
Substantial, maybe, another date for issuance of the CO.
Yeah, my gut is to just have 2 dates, just in terms of enforcement, to keep it simple. Once we put in too many things, I think it'll be hard for you to keep track of. You've got a lot of responsibilities, so I think we don't want to burden you. Yeah. So I guess what we'll do, if there aren't other questions for the architect, is open up the public meeting. No one's here, but per form, we do need to do that, and then close the public meeting. And so any further discussion on the board? We've, covered this project quite well, and I feel like we've achieved, with the help of the owner and the architect, a lot of really good things in, nailing down this project. But if there are other questions or issues, this is our moment.
Sorry, please, go.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, I thought this was a very useful exercise because, the zoning area Bs are interesting, and Parkway Road is one of the more interesting ones. So it was, I think, very useful for us to learn about the different considerations that are at play there.
One, it was particularly helpful that you provided us with the analysis of the non-conforming aspects of the neighborhood that gave us helpful, I think, context.
Yeah, it's an unusual site.
Yeah. So you had something? Yeah.
So, thinking about timing here, have the owners have any idea as far as financing and how they're going to go about financing this whole project? Because that could be a significant delay if they can't find financing or whatever. And is there some?
That is an excellent question. I mean, we have to start with some goals somehow to address your concerns. I mean, if it ends up we're in November and it looks like, we can't possibly get demolition started, we'll obviously come to you before. I can't speak to the owner financing because I really don't know.
But there was somewhere in these materials, and I forget exactly where I saw it, but there was a estimate as far as the overall cost of this project, and I think
$300,000.
it seemed very low.
It seemed extraordinarily low.
And with sourcing issues and all of that, that number could double easily.
It's going to be.
So if it does double, what happens?
Well, we have to start someplace. I mean, when we talk about, basic budgeting back of the envelope, we talk about anywhere from 300 a foot to 500 a foot. And, at over 5,000 feet, you can do the math. But like you're saying, we're in a time of, very high interest rates, which affects profitability and feasibility. So I can't speak to their financing at this point.
And we have historically had some projects we've approved that then haven't happened. And I think
Because of finance.
for these kinds of reasons, but I think what we're trying to address here at the suggestion of, the folks on the zoning board is to at least put a stake on the ground, in the ground in terms of timing, so that if for reasons of supply chain or financing or other reasons, the time extends, if it extends too far, we get another bite at the apple, I think. But we have had a number of projects over time that haven't happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're asking is reasonable. I think, you've shown, flexibility and reason, back and forth, so I don't anticipate that it'll change. There's factors I don't know and just don't want to shoot from the hip.
But this way, if it's, a year from now and there's a reason to talk about it again, we'll have the benefit of knowing whatever else may have happened in the village during that year. That's the main thing we're looking at, things that none of us are even aware of now can be factors. And so I think we just, would someone like to make a motion that would incorporate the concept of, demolition beginning by December 2024 and substantial completion by June of 2026?
So moved. I can say more if you want.
No, Christine, do you have what you need? Yeah, okay.
Just to
Discussion,
clarify
yeah.
that motion, though, should we put a date within the month?
I would think December 31st and June 30th.
End of
Yeah,
the month.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good call.
Any further discussion before we?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Please let the owner know we appreciate all of the flexibility and work with us, and here's
Thank
to
you all.
success on the project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second. All in favor?
Right.
Okay, we will not, Christina, be having a meeting in January. We do expect to see everyone in February. Everyone should have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.